Hi Circuit Riders, we have a quick adventure for you today. We are on a quest. We are in Maine and we've been at our land for the past couple of months, and we discovered that one of our favorite stores in Maine called Marden's is running a promotional contest, or kind of a quest thing. So Marden's is a Maine staple. It's a discount surplus seconds, store that has they get fire sale stuff, they get going out of business stuff, and they sell it for super discount. There's 14 locations of it around the state of Maine. So this year they're running a promotion that if you visit all 14 of the stores in Maine and you get stamps at each one, you can get $100 each once you finish it, plus a little swag bag and a t-shirt. If you finish half of the stores and get 7, you get $25 each. So we were like, wow, we'll just do a few. And now it has captured our imagination, and we are on a mission to visit all 14 Mardens. We came down to southern Maine for the weekend, the Labor Day weekend this week, to visit the kids in Boston. And while we're down here, we're going to collect all the southern ones. So we already had like 5 of them before this trip, so I haven't shown all of them. But right now we're getting Gray, Scarborough, Biddeford, and Sanford this afternoon. And then tomorrow, I think we're going to do Lewiston and Farmington, maybe some more. But we're determined to finish all 14 of these before we leave Maine for the season. So we were reading a little bit about the history of Marden's on their website, and one thing I found really interesting was that they have always been very purposeful. They have vowed to never build a new building. They only take over old buildings and wherever they're building a new Marden's. This one in Scarborough, Maine is by far the largest one we have seen yet, and that's because it was originally a Walmart. And we walked in here and Jason said, "This is so huge, what could it have been before?" And I said, "It really feels like a Walmart." He said, "There's no way that they took over a Walmart," but I looked it up and they did. Now, one thing that we love about Marden's is their food sections. They've got so many different things here, just everything you can think of: hardware, fabric, clothing, food, household, furniture, garden stuff. So it's kind of like a Walmart, but just all deep discount stuff. So we've been having so much fun on this tour. Some Mardens are very tiny, some are big, some are old, some are in old hardware stores with upstairs and downstairs. So we've been having a lot of fun, and it also takes us all over Maine. I think we're going to visit, when we go to Farmington, I don't think we've ever been that far west in Maine before, certainly not to the Farmington area, so that'll be a new area that we can explore too. And then we still haven't gotten the Madawaska store, which is at the very top border of Maine, right on the Canadian border. We've got to visit that too. Now, originally we said, well, if we're going to visit 14 Mardens, we have to commit to buying something at each one, because we don't want to just run in there and get our card stamped. We want to patronize them and, give back a little bit. So we've been buying some snacks and little household things as we go. But if we were about 5 stores in, and our Marden stash was growing in our pantry, and I said, I think we've got enough junk food now, and cans of soup. I think we can take it easy. So now we're just trying to buy one little thing at each one. I still want to patronize them. And sometimes, you can find healthier stuff. I bought some packets of tuna, like flavored tuna, and soup, and some stuff like that. If we ever do get around to building a cabin on our main land, my new goal is to only furnish it with things from Marden's. I think that would be super fun and challenging and a great deal. And they've just got so much stuff. This is our 7th Marden's that we've visited, and we just found out that you can cash in twice. You can get the $25 gift card after you visit 7 stores, and then keep going and get the $100 gift card after you finish all of them. So we put our name in. They've got to send our name into headquarters, and then they send us the gift card. We never imagined that we would get $125 each from Marden's. Now, the way they keep you honest with this program is you have to show your driver's license every time you get your card stamped, and they match the number of your license with the number on the card. So there is an element of security to it, which I appreciate. Next stop is the Biddeford Maine Mardens. Now, the thing to keep in mind about Mardens is that the inventory turns over very quickly. You should never assume that if you saw something at Mardens, you could go back a day or a week later and they would still have the same thing. So their longtime slogan has always been, I should have bought it when I saw it at Mardens. All right, made it to the Sanford Mardens 15 minutes before closing. This is our last one of the day. And this one is actually split. There's a big store here, and then farther down the little strip mall here is a separate furniture and flooring store for Mardens. I've never seen them split out like that.
We got a couple other guys that are clearly collecting it too, because they just came in behind us from 2 stores back or 1 store back.
We actually stopped and chatted to those 2 guys because we had some questions. Oh, there's one right there. Hello.
What's cooking?
Because they said that they only have 1 store left. They're from Bangor, so they're a little bit ahead of us, but they're having fun too. We're up in Lewiston, Maine today. We're gonna go visit the Lewiston Mardens and then on to Farmington. But our first stop today is the Labadie Bakery. We noticed the other day that the southern Maine Mardens carry these whoopie pies, and it said Labadie Bakery on it, which we had never heard of before. They're only $1.50 each, which is a great price for a whoopie pie. And I thought, well, if they're at Mardens though, they're probably like seconds or leftovers. They might be kind of dry or whatever. They're actually really delicious. And the sign on there says delivered weekly from the bakery. So they're constantly getting a fresh supply of these in. So the Labadie Bakery is just down the street from the Lewiston Mardens. We're gonna pop in here first and see if we can get some whoopie pies before we head on. So we ended up getting a half a dozen donuts and a pastry. On Wednesdays, which is today, they have Whoopie Pie Wednesday, where if you buy 6 whoopie pies, you get 6 for free. So it's $20 for 6, which works out to a little over $3 each. But I can get the chocolate whoopie pies at Marden's for $1.50. So we decided not to get any whoopie pies, though they do have several different flavors in there. But I'm excited about these donuts. Now let's head on to Lewiston Marden's. This is a really big one. So I mentioned before that we had already done 5 of the Mardens before I started this video, but Jason has a story about one of them.
Oh yes, so the Mardens in Lincoln, Maine, which is nearby where my grandparents lived, and my mother and uncle grew up on Coldstream Pond. Formerly, because as you know the story, Mardens never build a new building. They only take over old buildings that are, I'm sure super available, to say the least. And what used to be in the Mardens in Lincoln was a old school department store called Newberry's. And there was several Newberry's throughout Maine. There was actually one up in Presque Isle where I grew up, and the one there. And my fond memory of that is my grandmother worked there for a season, part-time in the women's clothing store. It was one of those where there was 2 floors, you had big stairs, there's all the different departments, but also it had this wonderful little food counter where you'd pop a balloon to find out what the price for your Sunday would be. And of course, because my grandmother worked there, I'd sit on the stools and spin around, and they would serve me a little extra and things like that. So just a fond memory of that. And it's also part of the kind of the neat thing of Mardens, where there's a little bit of a story of why they're there and what used to be there and how culture and shopping and markets have changed. So just a fun little piece of my own history there.
So because Jason has this fond childhood memory of Marden's, is when he introduced me to it when we first were in Holton, and probably in Presque Isle before that too.
Oh yeah, way back when.
But at first I was like, it's just a discount store, what's the big deal? But now I've totally embraced Marden's. It's one of our favorite places to shop when we're in Holton for the summers, up on our land in Maine. Look what we found for our granddaughter, only $25. That'll be a fun toy. I think we'll keep it in the RV, and when she comes to visit us, she can have her own RV. We've driven another hour kind of northwest to the Farmington store. This is kind of the most remote one that we've visited. I suppose Madawaska's truly the most remote one, but we get up there sometimes. We've never been out here to Farmington. We're near the Rangeley Mountains and the lakes out here in southwestern Maine. This one looks like a pretty small Mardens by comparison to the other southern ones that we've been seeing. This is the first time I've ever seen a board game section at a Marden's, and Giant Sorry and Giant Monopoly. I've never seen those. That's cool. Each Marden's really seems to have its own personality, and I'd say this one here in Farmington feels like the most organized I've seen. Things are on the shelves nicely. It's very bright in here. The floors are very clean. I think this is very nice.
Yeah, I also think this is literally the newest one because it's not on the older maps.
Yeah, I think
and
you're right.
Even the check-off list for collecting them, because they've run that promotion before, had 13, and now it's 14.
Yeah, the old little slip said 13 stores, but now there's 14.
So I bet this is they're trying, like, just very nicely. It's super clean, organized, neat.
Yeah. So our last stop for the day is going to be at the Mardens in Waterville, Maine. This was also a former Walmart. It's huge in there. And we've been getting snacks and just little things at each store. So we have been able to buy stuff at each store. We have 2 stamps left to get, Ellsworth and Madawaska. Madawaska, as I said before, is way, way at the very top of Maine on the Canadian border. And then Ellsworth is out near Bar Harbor. We may be going to Ellsworth tomorrow with the RV. We have to drive the RV from southern Maine back up to our land tomorrow. And we're considering taking it over to Ellsworth and doing a side trip. We'll see. Stay tuned. Now, there are many things that are quintessential Maine, and Marden's is one of them. But on the other end of the spectrum, we have LL Bean. And on our way back to our campground, we couldn't resist stopping in Freeport to come to the LL Bean flagship campus. And when I say campus, I mean it is a huge complex of buildings. And apparently they are doing a big renovation here. They're building some new buildings to add on to the flagship store. So they've got different buildings for clothing, camping, hiking, furniture, furnishings and stuff, all kinds of different stuff. We have not been here probably a couple of decades. We loved coming here when we lived in South Portland, Maine when we were first married. So we're excited to come check it out on our way back home. The main store at LL Bean has always been open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Starting in 1951, LL Bean himself instituted that rule. And yes, his name was actually LL Bean, who started this store. And it's been 24/7 ever since, except for a brief shutdown during COVID, of course. But now they're back open. Some of the other stores on the campus have shorter hours, but the main store is open all the time. And the reason he did that was because he always said that he wanted sports people to be able to come at any time of the day or night to get ready for their trips. If you wanted to go on a canoe trip early in the morning, you should be able to come here in the middle of the night, buy your stuff, and get out in nature as early as you could. So he just wanted it to be accessible all the time for whoever was planning whatever trip they wanted. Well, we did it. We are on our way driving from southern Maine back up to our land, and we decided that we were going to take a detour and get the Ellsworth Mardens as our number 13 because it's just far away from everything. It added about an hour and a half total to our trip today, but that was a lot better than driving 3 hours from the land to get down here to collect this store. So we're so glad that we were able to. Now, taking a big fifth wheel through a heavily populated tourist area is always a risk. Ellsworth is right outside of Bar Harbor and Acadia National Park, so there's tons of tourists here still. It's still early September.
It's shoulder season, so it's not as crazy, but it was plenty busy.
Yeah. I think going back up to the land, we might go on Route 1 up the east coast of Maine instead of trying to go back to 95. The time is about the same, a little bit longer on Route 1, but we've never taken the RV that way, kind of the back way to our land. So we'll see how that goes. This definitely looks like another Walmart building takeover. It's huge in here.
Yeah, you can tell where the service counter used to be.
You can always tell the Walmart was, as soon as you come in the door, the service counter is right there, and that all these Mardens are laid out that way. We have made it to our very last Mardens up in Madawaska, Maine, which is the very, very northern top, right next to the Canadian border. In fact, we're right over the river from Canada. And we're excited to get the last stamp on our cards. And then we've heard from when we got our 7 stamps that they have to put in our name with the headquarters, and then you have to wait anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks to get your gift cards and your swag and everything sent to a store of your choosing. So we said send it to Biddeford because that is the southernmost one in Maine. That's the closest to Moody Beach Campground where we usually stay. So we figured once we leave the land, we'll be down there for a few weeks and it'll give us some leeway to collect our prizes.
Yeah. Hey, something special about this one. I think it's the only Mardens with Acadian gold stars next to the...
It looks like they're just stars, but we know what the real significance of it is that we are in Acadian country up here in northern Maine. In fact, we just stopped for lunch at a little diner, and there was people speaking French in there because this is a French-speaking Acadian area. So really fun.
All right.
Well, we made it. I just picked up all of our gift cards from the Biddeford Mardens, and I got my little t-shirt. There was a little bit of a snafu in getting everything. Now, we are supposed to leave Maine this Saturday, and we thought we had left plenty of time to get everything shipped down here to Biddeford. Well, we were supposed to get 4 gift cards, 2 25s and 2 100s, and only my 100 showed up here at the store with my t-shirt. So I was not about to leave that to chance. Since we're leaving pretty soon, I've been on the phone with Marden's employees of different locations for the past 3 days trying to track down what happened to our cards. And apparently the store that we put in the $25 at when we finished 7 stores, they never sent it to headquarters. And then they were out of Jason's t-shirt size, so they didn't send that bag. So I've been pleading with people to please get this to Biddeford before Saturday so that we don't have to come. Now, we're just moving down to Massachusetts next week, but I really did not want to have to drive back up to Maine to get these things. So I'm so excited that they were able to get it on a truck and get it over here as quickly as possible so that I could pick up everything and do one last shopping at Marden's. So next week, the next few videos, we're going to be hopping around a little bit. It's been a few weeks since I started this Marden's video, and in the meantime, we've done some other things. We've gone to Canada, we've done some special events in northern Maine and southern Maine, so you're going to see those over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll see what happens after that. Thanks so much for coming to Marden's with us. We had so much fun.